I'm Bob Meadows, and this is Felix We're all familiar with the phenomenon of unemployed graduates. It's a relatively new thing. Well, not so long ago a degree was almost a guaranteed passport to the well-paid professions. But we're all aware now of graduates doing mundane work in fast food or supermarkets, if they can get it. Must be a lot of questions in the minds of sixth formers who are having doubts maybe about applying for university at all. And add to that the vexed question of tuition fees. Is it £9,000 a year everywhere now? And when do you have to start repaying, and for how long, and at what salary level? Would you be better off just getting a job rather than applying for university at all? Well, these are big questions. Some of them can be simply answered, and others are debatable topics. But what do we do? I have someone here today who has a wonderful, novel way of exploring these questions and others with sixth formers, or years 12 and 13 as we call them nowadays. Sian Hiskey. She is Widening Participation Officer at University College in Suffolk. So Sian, welcome to Felixstowe Matters.
Morning.
Thank you very much for coming in. And come Monday morning, you'll be getting on the bus.
I will be getting on the bus.
So tell us about the bus.
We have a UCS tour bus,
Yes.
visiting 15 schools, sixth forms and colleges in Suffolk. It's an old London double-decker bus that we have branded. It's very bright. It looks amazing. It's covered in all of our UCS logo. It looks fantastic.
A bit psychedelic.
Yeah, it looks amazing. You won't be able to miss it.
Okay.
And as I said, we're touring Suffolk. We're visiting sixth formers at all these different schools and colleges as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically handing out information on University Campus Suffolk, information on making choices, information on UCAS and applying to university, information on student finance. We're also giving out lots of information on personal statements, and we're running a personal statement clinic on the bus as well.
Wow. So whose idea was the bus?
It was my idea, and also my colleague Katie. That we found out about the Education Business Partnership bus, Go With The Flow they call it, and it's a youth bus that travels around. And that
had been successful, I take it.
Yeah, they are very successful, yeah. And it's their bus that we're renting. So we're renting their bus.
But you've changed it completely.
But we've changed it completely, yeah. But it looks fantastic. But we work very closely with Suffolk EBP, as they're known. We have a very good relationship.
What's EBP?
They're the Suffolk Education Business Partnership.
Right.
We work very closely with them, and we attend a lot of events that they put on, and they're fantastic. They're all about helping young people to access apprenticeships, education, employment, all that sort of things. They're kind of a well-rounded facility that we have in Suffolk.
And did you say it's not just the bus, but you have a gazebo alongside it?
Yes, yeah. As well as all the information being available on the bus, we're also taking a gazebo just to kind of pack with lots more information.
Right.
We're going to be advertising our open day as well. We've got an open day on Saturday the 29th of September. So it's the day on from the bus tour.
After the bus tour
follows
is
on
finished.
really nicely, yeah.
Just to not give you a day off.
Yeah.
The next day,
Yeah.
straight at, yes.
Oh, you don't mind, the open days are good fun to work. They're good fun. That's 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. and the bus will also be there on the plaza outside our main building, so anybody can come along then and visit the bus if they want to. But yeah, the whole point of the bus is to just really raise awareness of higher education, of UCS, and just helping young people to make choices, really.
And each school gets an hour and a half.
Roughly an hour and a half,
And
yeah.
will they just put all of the year 12s and 13s, as we call them now, in, or will they select simply those who would be interested possibly in university application?
Yeah, well, we've obviously sent out the schedule of events to each school, and we've explained what's going to be on the bus. We've sent out in advance a personal statement clinic booking sheet, so if any of their students know in advance that they want some help with their personal statement, they will have been able to book a slot with us. We can have about 35 students on the bus at any one time.
But then there's the gazebo.
Yeah. We're running a competition on the bus to win a Kindle. So we'll have students walking around the bus collecting information in order to enter the competition if they want to.
Is that one for each school or one?
No, it's one for the whole week. It's
week.
a Kindle for the whole week, yeah, but we'll just pull it out of a draw. So yeah, schools are responsible for ensuring that groups of students come out, but we have said that we're there to talk to all students, not just students who already think they want to go to university, but perhaps students who just aren't sure. Or maybe even students who say, no, university definitely isn't right for me. There's no harm in them coming along and just picking up some information and just entering our competition as well.
Great. So here you are in Felixstowe. I notice your itinerary starts off in Lowestoft on Monday, and come Friday you'll be here with us at our local academy.
Yes, we will, yeah.
So that's 8:30 to 10 o'clock in Felixstowe. Well, let's just look at you for the moment, if we may, Sian, because you've gone through the ranks like lightning, really. During your course at UCS, you were a mentor for AIM Higher Suffolk, and then when you graduated in 2010, you became student recruitment and marketing assistant. And I think we can follow what that one means, because it marketing, recruitment, fine. But then in 2011, you became widening participation officer. Tell us about widening participation.
It's a complicated title, isn't
it?
It
is, yes.
Widening participation basically means that I work with students from year 8, so around the age of sort of 12, 13, right up to year 13, so 18 years old, helping to raise awareness of higher education through raising aspirations, raising attainment levels, and generally just helping students to make choices. We don't just work with students though, we also work quite closely with the community and with parents as well. Parents are really, really important to us because we understand that they're a big part of obviously the student's life, and they really influence their decisions. So we try to work with them as much as we can. But the activities that we run to raise aspirations and raise attainment levels are very similar to the ones that were part of the AIM Higher programme. I'm not sure if you were 100% aware of what AIM Higher were kind of supposed to do, but they were very successful in running summer schools, in running on-campus events where both parents and students were invited onto the university campus to find out more about higher education.
Is that summer schools on what we understand are the American lines, which were quite physical, games and so on, or is this more of an academic thing?
It's a bit of both, really. My colleague Katie and I, we ran the summer school last year at UCS. We ran it for year 12 students, and it was amazing. It was a mixture of both academic taster subjects
and fun.
Yeah. We took them to the cinema. We took them to Nando's. We tried to give the students an overall experience of what it would be like to be at university. Yeah. So we were out quite late one night at the cinema, and then they did have to get up very early the next morning for their lecture.
I can think of one missing element that might possibly be the drinking, but
yes, but they were under the age of 18, so it was strictly forbidden.
Yes.
But we played student games with them. They played rounders. We took them over to the local sports centre and had that.
And so I'm thinking year 8, that's 13 years old. That's the age to start now, is it, really?
That's the age that we like to start working with students. And we don't bombard them with loads and loads of heavy information. We just ask them, what do you think higher education is? Do you know what it is? And if you don't know what it is, then we'd like to tell you.
Probably limited by their own family experience. Older brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
and so on.
In some cases, yeah. I mean, part of widening participation is to work with students who may not traditionally go on to higher education. But because that applies to so many students now, most of the activities that we run for all students in schools. We specifically work with looked after children as well. We're doing some work with students who come from military families, because traditionally they don't always access higher education after sixth form or college, simply because they move around.
Move around a
so
lot,
much.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're trying to do a bit more work with those students now. So we do target certain groups of students, but generally most of the information that we provide is generic to all.
Yeah. Could you just give us an idea of what the students will actually find when they arrive on the bus? There's a different situation downstairs and upstairs, I believe, and then different in the gazebo as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be a massive information overload. That's what we're hoping. It's going to be nice and busy, and we're hoping that students can find the answers to any questions that they might have.
Right.
The downstairs of the bus is going to focus on student finance. So just student finance in general, but as well as some of the schemes that are specific to UCS. So we have one called the Suffolk Access Champion Scheme, That's a scheme that we are running whereby first-year undergraduate students can receive £8,000 off of their tuition fee if they agree to go back and mentor Year 10 students in their old high school for 40 hours.
I'm saying yes, straight away.
It's good, isn't it?
Yes.
We're going to be obviously promoting that scheme because it's a fantastic thing for those students to get involved in. And a lot of students want to do mentoring anyway. A lot of our undergraduate students want to mentor.
Can we stick with finance for a minute before we go upstairs on the bus? Because I believe that your feeling is that there are misconceptions around about the whole issue of fees and how much and how long for and everything. People have got the wrong end of the stick.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just my feeling. I think lots of people who work in the higher education sector are just desperate to try and get the correct message out.
So what is the correct message?
Well, universities can charge over £6,000 up to £9,000 per year for study. Most universities are charging between £8,000 and £9,000 per year. UCS are charging £8,000 for honours degrees and £7,500 for foundation degrees.
Okay.
And roughly that's where most universities are sitting at.
That's quite a hike over the last 4 or 5 years since fees began, isn't it? That's a considerable hike. What happened was that the government sort of set a maximum and everyone's risen to it, or nearly everyone's risen to it.
I think that one of the first things that we say to students is, universities haven't decided they want to charge more. The cost of a degree is the same. It's just the government used to subsidise a large proportion of that cost, and now they've decided they don't want to. So first and foremost, we haven't just decided to charge, an extra 5-6 grand. It's no longer being subsidised. But it's the repayments.
Yes.
That's where the misconception lies.
So for how long and at what salary level do you start repaying?
Yeah. So you start repaying the April after you graduate, and only if you are earning over £21,000 per year.
Now you see, I thought it was 17, so I'm surprised already.
Yeah, £21,000 per year. The loan amount, the debt amount, should I say, lasts for a period of 30 years. So 30 years after you've graduated, you don't owe a single penny.
Right.
Whether you've paid some or none at all. You don't owe anything.
Which is possible if somebody doesn't go into a job that's related in any way to their qualification. Yeah,
that is possible, It's obviously not the outcome that we would like, but it is a possible. Yeah, it is a possibility. So after the student has graduated, if they are fortunate enough to get a graduate job and earn over £21,000 per year, they will start repaying. And they start repaying at 9% of what they're earning over the £21,000. Which roughly works out that if you're on a salary of £25,000 per year, after tax and national insurance, you'll be taking home just under £1,500 per month, and your repayments will be £30 a month. So it's the repayments are based on what you earn, not on what you owe.
And how many graduates come straight into a £21,000 job?
Yeah, well, not many.
Not many.
And it's also comforting for students and parents to know that if for any reason your salary falls below £21,000 per year, you stop repaying. So it doesn't matter if you are fortunate enough to get that well-paid job, and then for whatever reason you stop. So you might get made redundant, you might decide to have a family, you might have a career break and decide to explore new options, whatever that might be.
And that's all okay, that's all
fine.
Permissible.
Yeah, as soon as your salary falls below £21,000 per year, you stop repaying. And it comes out with the tax and national insurance. So students don't have to, they don't get a bill come through every month and they have to, remember I've got to pay that, like you would a credit card. It's completely different. It just comes out straight away. It's like you've never had it. The best way that I like to describe it to students, although it's not an official term, is as a graduate tax. It's like having a graduate tax. And £30 a month, if you're earning £1,500 a month, is a very small percentage.
To me, the most difficult thing is to adjust yourself mentally to the concept of owing, well, let's say in fees, something like 27,000 or more, and other expenses that may have mounted up as part of your student loan. Yeah. So you could be well over the £30,000 mark. It's just a question of, I suppose it's the same thing you have to do when you first get a mortgage. It's just try to get it into your brain that you've got this debt, but it's not something that's crushing or necessarily a massive burden. It's just there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The student loan is completely different to any type of credit. It's not commercial credit. It doesn't affect your credit rating or your ability
It
to
might
get
affect your
mortgage.
attitude of mind. That's
Might do, yeah, but that's all. Yeah, but financially, it won't affect anything else you want to do. You know, I have a student loan at the moment that I'm repaying. I'm obviously on the old fee system, but it's still the same principle.
But you don't feel burdened by it.
Oh no, I know. And to
truly
be
don't
honest,
feel burdened.
I truly don't. I don't think about it. It comes out of my wages, obviously, every month, and I think, oh, and that's it.
There it goes.
That's the only feeling I have.
Well, the same thing applies to a pension contribution.
Yeah.
For everybody who's in any kind of profession, that's automatic. It's now coming into other jobs as under a new scheme, isn't it? But you just accept the fact that 6% comes off your income before you see it, and then there's income tax to add to that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just one of the many deductions in that sense. Then.
And that's the bit that I go, a lot more.
Well, we all do. We all
Yeah.
do. Because it's just unavoidable. Okay, so that's pretty good on student finance, but one of your other major tasks is the old personal statement.
Yes.
Now, you've got a clinic, as you're calling it,
Yes.
to help them. How important is the statement, and how far do you go with your help?
Well, on the top deck of the bus, we've got, as you said, the personal statement clinic, but we've also got information on making choices and UCAS.
Should we just make this clear that this is to do with university application? One of the major items in application is the personal statement, and the university takes a lot of notice of this.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We advise students all the time on personal statements, and they always ask, how important is it? And I generally respond with, it's as important as your grades. Because, university places on some courses are limited. We run a lot of the NHS courses at UCS, nursing, midwifery, radiography, radiotherapy, ODP. And they're all very popular courses. Nursing in particular is always, there's so many applications every year for nursing.
But the statement needs to end up as a personal statement, not yours. So what I'm trying to get is how far you dare go before you infiltrate their thinking.
It's really hard. I mean, we offer workshops on personal statement writing, and we will start off by giving them the structure, the basic structure of a personal statement, what it needs to contain, what universities are looking for. And the main thing that universities are looking for is enthusiasm for the subject you're applying for, and they're looking to see that you'll be committed to studying that course. So we give them a kind of basic structure. We give them what the university are looking for, and then we start them mind mapping. So we do different kind of activities with them. We might get them to explore new ways of explaining or describing themselves, so that every student doesn't say that they're passionate. And,
for people who are outside of their education days, who may be looking in now, mind mapping is a reasonably new concept.
I think it's the technical term that people use now. I think it's the correct terminology. Mind mapping is is spider diagramming,
but then taking it further.
Yeah. So obviously starting off with a point, but there's it's kind of one of those bubble maps, isn't it? But it's getting the students to explore individually how they relate to the course, how their work experience relates to the course, hobbies and interests that they have that might relate to the subject they want to study, and it's also heavily based on describing your transferable skills.
So you're pulling various items out of your CV and bringing them into the statement, but in a relevant way, and a very focused sort of way. And
students only have 4,000 characters for their personal statement. That includes, commas, full stops, spaces. So it has to be a very concise piece of work, and they have to get to the point. Every single sentence has to matter in their personal statement. So we start them off by giving them all this information. We do put a bit of pressure on them. We say, it's very important. You need to spend time on it. And then we offer to go back and read them. And that's what we're doing on this personal statement clinic on the bus. We've allowed students to make appointments to meet with us, and we will read through their personal statement and we'll give them advice on it. and we'll tell them bits that can be cut, bits that they think are very, very important, but we just read and think that's not relevant. You don't need to say that. You could put something much more, you could put a stronger point in here.
Each word is so precious.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
It's hard
to write.
Yeah, I did read in the press this weekend that some parents are over-helping with the personal statements. There's no way that you can intervene there, is there?
No, it's really tough, because we tell students when they're writing their personal statement to not look at anybody else's when they're writing theirs.
Okay.
I always say it's fine and it's good for you to read personal statements, for you to read examples before you write your own.
Yeah.
But then when it comes down to you sitting down in front of that computer, writing your personal statement, don't have anything in front of you that you could be inclined to copy. Or, you might think, I don't know how to phrase that, and you might get an idea from somebody else's. But students have to remember that it needs to be their own work. And that's where, if parents want to get involved, that's great. And we always tell students to let their parents read the personal statement. Yeah, we do.
Read the personal statement. Not write the personal statement.
But it's hard, isn't it? It's like you mentioned, it's like homework.
It's like homework.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's just that level. And especially with so much coursework now. But of course the government are now phasing out coursework.
Yeah.
This is another new trend.
I'm really sure I agree with that one.
And partly because they believe that, in the past, there could have been too much help.
Yeah.
So coursework and modules it's all change time at the moment, isn't it?
It's hard with the personal statement though, because obviously parents want that statement to be the best it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And students want that too. And students will go to their parents, they'll go to their teachers. They come to people like me and they genuinely want the help. But, you have to come to a point where you're not doing it for them. You can say to them things like, but what about the time that you went on the trip for your Duke of Edinburgh? Talk about the skills that you developed during that. That's fine
Not
for a
just
parent
the fact
to do.
that you went on the trip,
but it's fine for you to direct a student into what to write in their personal statement, but phrasing things for them is a little bit different.
And one critical thing you said, Sian, at the outset of this bit of our talk was it's almost as important as grades.
Yeah, it is.
Which is remarkable, really.
Yeah.
I wonder, whether until they meet you on the bus, they'll really realise that, how absolutely crucial it is. What do you say, Sian, if you were to come across a sixth former who brings up the question of graduate unemployment? What would you say about that? Because it's a spectre in many parts of the country, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. First of all, I would tell them that UCS has over 90% of its graduates employed.
Do you really?
We do. We do. We have a high employment rate.
Okay.
That's employment and further study. So some of those students may be going on to a postgraduate qualification.
Back into UCS again?
Potentially, lots of our students go on to teaching or onto other postgraduate degrees, But over 90% of our graduates are in employment or further education, which is fantastic for us.
But that doesn't represent the national picture, does it?
No, it doesn't, and it is a hard question to answer because we're not going to lie to students. They've got the facts in front of them.
They know people. They will know
people
who have been out and qualified for a year and a half, 2 years, who are still working in a hamburger joint.
Yeah, I know people. that I graduated with that don't have work at the moment, that aren't working, or have jobs like you said that are perhaps not the jobs they originally thought they would have as a result of going to university. But graduate employment comes hand in hand with the current state of everything and the general unemployment rates. There's lots of unemployment, not just graduate unemployment. But there's a lot of emphasis on courses at the moment, and in particular the UCS courses are really focusing on employability skills.
This was my next question.
Yeah.
Is there a move towards, away from what we used to call Mickey Mouse subjects and towards subjects which are more utilitarian?
I don't necessarily think there's a move away from those subjects, but it's about making the most...
I'm talking about horse studies.
We have lots of subjects that traditionally people might have said were those type of subjects. Yeah, but I obviously don't think they are. No. But we work very much in the mindset that let's have employment elements within that degree. So
there's been a lot of criticism in the last 10 years of subjects which people regard as frivolous.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
But I mean, our fine art degree, for example, has a whole module which focuses on employment.
Yeah.
And, you know, how to showcase your work as an artist, as a professional artist.
Yeah.
When I was studying English, there was a whole module called professional practice. And it was basically a work experience module.
Goodness.
Which I had to write an essay on it as well. I obviously had to base what I was doing around something that related to my degree. But it was in itself a work experience module.
Well, I must say I studied English in the 60s and we didn't have anything like that then.
No.
You know, it was just straightforward.
Yeah.
English literature from A to Z.
Yeah. But it was really good for me. And it definitely helped me when I then started applying for jobs.
Of course.
Because I had something very relevant that was related to my subject that I could talk about. So it's fantastic, but a majority of our degree subjects now contain some form of employability module or a module focused around students getting out and getting experience, because it is so important.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, we are heading towards our time, but let me just ask you about prospectuses and so on. Do you simply have information there online, or do you have actual physical prospectuses available on the bus so that people can look at different courses at different parts of the country?
We have both actually. Our prospectus is very unique. I love our prospectus.
This is UCS.
This is the UCS prospectus.
Do you have other people's?
No, we don't have
you
other
don't?
people's.
Right,
No, we don't. But we will have laptops on the bus, which are on the UCAS website. And UCAS is a website where you can find all of the universities.
And you can go straight to all the courses everywhere.
Yeah, you can.
But UCAS still has what they're now calling physical books, as opposed to e-readers. They're still an actual product that you can hold in your hands and flip through it. Yeah. I'm kind of really, as an old person, I'm kind of relieved to hear that still exists. As I say, we haven't a lot of time left, but I'll just ask you about a new development called the Suffolk Baccalaureate. It's being spearheaded by a school in Bury St Edmunds, and the idea there is to move students in the sixth form years towards employment and skills and training and apprenticeships. Do you think this is going to sort of militate against uptake of university courses?
I don't know, because I mean, as I said, we go out into schools and we talk lots about not only making choices but about the routes into higher education. And we have a very easy to read table that we show to students, and it shows, you know, that you can access higher education through studying A levels, but you can also access higher education through doing an apprenticeship.
This is a whole new way of thinking, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's always kind of been there, but I think it's just building on the awareness, making students aware that some universities will take them with the qualifications from an apprenticeship. UCS will take those qualifications on some of our courses. And it's important that the students know that they don't have to go to university when they're 18.
Right.
It's just making them aware that it's an option available to them 5-6 years down the line, once they've been in employment and they're perhaps thinking that they want to take the next step and go into management, you know, or they want to start their own business. They know that they can go back to university and get the qualification and the skills needed in order to do that.
A very different way of thinking, it seems to be. Well, the bus takes off on Monday morning, Lowestoft College, and ends up in Felixstowe on Friday the 28th, then to Ipswich Academy, and finally Coppleston High School. And you will be on it.
I will be on it,
having lots of fun.
Definitely.
And passing on lots of useful information.